The most anticipated rod launch of the year is here. A swim bait several years in the making finally is available, and the next limited edition Respect Series color drop from Megabass. This is what's new this week at the Hookup Tackle. Welcome back, my friends. I'm Ben with the Hookup Tackle, Tackle Otaku on Instagram, being joined this fine Sunday morning by my buddy CJ.
Good morning, sir. How you doing?
2 weeks in a row.
No
Jeff.
And yeah.
He's out catching 10-pounders in Japan. Poor guy.
Sounds lame.
It's good to see a smiley face.
What do you got there?
I'm going to smile. Would you like one?
If you have two. Look at that. You came prepared.
Jeff, if you're listening, this is what you're supposed to do with friends. Okay? Watch this.
Thank you, sir. The fancy can, too. Look at you.
It's my pleasure.
Class A guy.
So, my buddy from El Paso happened to swing through the shop yesterday and drop me off some cold ones. Cheers to you. Cheers to you, CJ. Jeff, wherever you are, bum. Enjoy your water. Guys, I hope you're having an amazing weekend. This is what's new this week at the Hookup Tackle. We're going to talk about some new drops, some restocks. We're going to drink some delicious Orion. We're going to make fun of Jeff. We're just going to geek out on some gear, hang out. So I hope you guys are off to a great weekend. Hopefully you're fishing.
Yeah,
but if you're chilling at home, cheers. All right, let's jump right in. Big week from Megabass. We're going to start right here with the next limited edition Respect Series color drop from Megabass. I tell you what, instead of me starting it, CJ, why don't you take it away and do something special? Show everybody the color. Take it. Good job, CJ.
Thank you, sir.
Excellent job. So let's break down this color. This is a really interesting color. It's blueback chartreuse candy. Let me take it out of the box. It'll be easier. So for those of you who aren't familiar with Respect Series color drops, each month Megabass goes through their coloring and they select colors that they love, that are important to their lineup, that they think are cool, and they bring out and they make them in a lineup of baits that they've never made it before. It's a one-time production run. If the color speaks to you, you can collect it, you can use it, you can do whatever you want with it, but definitely scoop it up because once they're gone, and we likely won't see them again. So, blueback candy chartreuse, or blueback chartreuse candy is the color for this month. So this is a kind of a throwback color. Most of them are kind of throwback colors. In the early 2000s, I think it was like 2004, 2005, something like that, Megabass created this color in some of their crankbaits. And basically what they wanted to do was take a chartreuse and blue, which is a pretty standard color here in the US, especially with crankbaits. And they wanted to do a little bit of a Megabass spin on it. Okay, so what you get is you get a transparent chartreuse. Okay, so it's not like a really gaudy chartreuse. When you think of a gaudy chartreuse, you think of something like maybe like a matte tiger or something like that. This is a transparent chartreuse. So when you hold this up to the light goes right through it. So it's fully transparent and it blends up to a metallic candy blue back. So inside the blue paint, they call it candy metallic. So it's basically little fine little crystals that give it different sparkles, and that trickles down through that chartreuse as well. So depending on how the light hits it, you're going to get different color shifts. You're going to get little different shines, almost like scales on a fish. And then at the belly is a super faint transparent orange as well. to give it just a little bit of contrast in the coloration. Of course, the red eye. So it's a super sick chartreuse and blue color. Normally you don't think of jerkbaits as being like a chartreuse and blue kind of bait, but in this particular color, it works really well. This is gonna be a really good one when something like a matte tiger is just too much color. It's gonna give you that little faint chartreuse, and especially when that light comes across it, it can be a really good, it's gonna be a deadly smallmouth color in clear water. But really it's designed for that kind of slightly stained to muddier condition when you need something just slightly more subdued. So it's also gonna be highly collectible because it's never been done in the majority of these baits. So let's walk through the baits really quick so you know what's available in. You can pick up each one of these baits individually, or we also put together full sets if you just wanna collect the whole set and have one of everything, you can do that as well. So Itovision 110, it is going to come in that guy. Okay, so there is bait number 1. Is also going to come in the X Nanahan. See if I can get it correct. There we go. X Nanahan. Super sick in that guy. Nice little small dude. So it comes in that. Going the opposite direction. How about the Gorham?
That is dope.
Yeah. So we don't see Gorhams in Respect very often. This is a bait that I love. So I would say the Gorham is maybe one of the worst selling wake baits in the Megabass world because it's kind of big. It's 147 millimeters. It weighs 1 5/8 ounce, so you're almost at a 2-ounce bait. It's jointed, it's got that rumble tail, but it's a dual LBO casting system. So it throws so freaking well. And even short distance, like I fish little urban ponds and we catch them on this thing. Even just pitching that dual LBO engages, your casting is just so accurate. I love this bait. In the Gorham, it's available in that. It is available in the Vibration X Dyna.
That looks good on that blink.
It does. The little baits, actually, everything I've pulled out so far looks pretty good. When you think of chartreuse and blue, it's not usually like, oh yeah, I'm stoked. But this one looks really good. It is available in a Pop X. It's a sick little like dragonfly color, right? It's available in the Giant Dog X.
Dirty.
It's available in the Live X Model 1 LBO.
It's kind of cool that they threw it on there.
Shad bait. Check this out. iSlide 187.
Now that is really interesting.
Yeah. Is that dirty?
That's dirty.
So a lot of guys use the iSlide and this size bait. So often colors come that are natural, like a shad color, a bluegill color, a perch, right? But this bait is a super popular bait for pike guys, for musky guys, for smallmouth guys even, right? It's not always just largemouth natural colors. This could be a super sick color to mix in. Or if you're a largemouth guy fishing more stained water, you don't want to throw like matte shad, right? So this will give you a bait that's got some life. I think it's pretty sick. By the way, it's in the floating version, which is our preferred version because it lets you alter it if you want to alter it to make it a sink, so that's cool.
Makes me want to go chase after some calicos with that thing.
Oh, that would be a sick calico color too. Really excited to see it in this guy, the Deep X 300. This is one that I wish they would make in every spec series. I love the Deep X 300. This is a great like 10 to 12 foot, just grind some rock, got a nice little rattle, so super sick to see it in there. How about the Shadding X R62? So the new Shadding X, available in that guy.
Sweet.
Available in the Pop Max, of course. It looks disgusting.
Yeah,
Pop
that's
Max.
dope.
Let's take it out. I'm just curious too. I want you guys to see the feather, so they went with the chartreuse feather.
Right,
which
dragonfly. Be sweet.
Yeah. Oh, that looks dirty. So you can see that chartreuse probably from your camera sees look a little cloudy. Almost.
A little bit, yeah.
So, it looks a little cloudy when you're just looking at it, from straight on. But again, when you hold it up to that light, it just completely diminishes and you just have that really cool, almost sexy shad kind of vibe. So Pop Max. And then finally, it is available in the Itovision 110 Junior as well. So stoked that they're doing a Junior this year at most of these colors. So there you go. The latest Respect Series color drop from Megabass is here. That's Blueback Chartreuse Candy. Is available now while supplies last. Enjoy. All right, CJ, usually I like to end our episodes talking about rods and reels, but I'm going to throw this in there since we're talking about Megabass. This has been one of the most anticipated drops of the year, so let's dig in. This is the brand new rod line from Megabass, available now. This is the Megabass Destroyer Orochi X10. Okay, so if you guys pre-ordered, thank you very much for your pre-order. Everything shipped out last week with the exception of one model. So if you didn't get a tracking, if you're the one guy that ordered the one model that hasn't come yet, okay, chill. It'll come here very shortly. But we are going to do a full breakdown, a super in-depth dive of this lineup. What do you think, this week, CJ?
Yeah, let's do it this week.
Okay, so we'll drop it this week. So if you guys are looking at this line and you're not sure about it, we're gonna do a really in-depth deep dive this week for you guys, just breaking down our thoughts. We've had these in our hands for quite some time. We have a lot of experience with them, and we'll just do a full breakdown. I'm gonna do a shorter version of that today. Orochi X10 is it's a new line within the Megabass world. So if you guys are Megabass rod fans and you're familiar that there's, you know, Levante, there's Orochi XXX, then it goes to Destroyer P5, right? Those are the main three lines. This is positioned in between Orochi XXX and P5. So it's not replacing P5, it's not replacing XXX. It's positioned in between those two rods, price point and performance-wise, okay? So Orochi XXX is $299, P5 is $499, this comes in at $399. So exactly in between those two lineups, okay? Now, the other thing that's important to note is that the process of building X10 is fairly extensive because there is an organic fiber in there. It's a flax cellulose microfibrils that they use to do this kind of wrapping. I'm going to break that down here in a second. So this is not going to be a rod line that's just going to be like a core lineup. If you need a rod like next Thursday or, you know, 2 months from now, you're like, oh, I need a jig rod. In theory, I should have the P5 FMJ or the Orochi Brailless. Like, those should be rods that you should be able to get anytime. With the X10, this is kind of a one and done deal. So they're only planning on making these like twice a year. So they're going to be in very limited quantities. They are going to sell out, and then they're going to be out of stock for months at a time, if not many, many months at a time. So I want to give you guys a quick rundown because some of these are already starting to run out. Some pre-sold pretty well, and we're down to our last few units. Some, once word gets out of what they do, they're going to sell out very quick, and I want to give you guys a chance to scoop them up if they speak to you, okay? So, first off, you know, I'm a huge fan of P5, right? That's kind of where I live. I try to use all the rods so that I can give everything a fair shake, and you guys know if you hang on this channel that I have, you know, some Raid incorporated in there, I have some Steez incorporated in there, I have some NRX, some GLX. Like, I really try to give everything a fair shake, and there are some standouts from every rod line, but at the heart of my rod use is P5. I mean, this is kind of where I just love to be because I love them so much. So, you know, one of the confusing things is when a new rod line comes out, is it better? Like, oh, is this replacing P5? So this is not doing anything to P5, okay? So P5 is going to remain like the pinnacle rod line. So I've been getting a lot of questions like, oh, you know, what's the best jerkbait rod to get? Well, the P5 110 stick. Right? It hasn't changed. Just because there's a jerkbait rod in here, this is still the best one. But there are some models in Orochi X10 that stand out as being unique and kind of gap fillers, and that's what I'm going to spend a little bit of time talking about. And, you know, really you guys just kind of have to dig through it, right? So from a build construction standpoint, P5 is going to be that 5D graphite. You can see how much thinner, too, the blank is on a P5 than on the Orochi X10, right? So it's a much thinner build, and this is an FMJ, okay? So I didn't pick like a skinny P5, I picked one of the thicker ones, right? So P5 is still going to give you that performance. What X10 is going to do, it's going to be more of a traditional build, but they are incorporating that organic fiber that does a couple of things. A, it allows that rod to be very, very strong, but maintaining its lightweight. So if you compare this to many of the new rods that have come out this year, right? You put them side by side, and it's like, man, it's really lightweight. Is it heavier than P5? Yes. P5 is still going to stay P5, the holy grail, right? This is maybe a notch down. The biggest thing is in performance, it slows the rod down a little bit, that organic fiber. they've been using that same flax cellulose microfibrils in like race cars, right? So like Porsche, I believe, has been using it. I'm sure there's some other ones. And they find that it's a lighter version of like carbon fiber. So historically, everybody's used that like artificial carbon fiber. By going with the organic, it's, you know, greener, so it reduces the carbon footprint of the rod building process, which is never a bad thing. But from a performance standpoint, it's also giving us a lighter, stronger, more flexible material. So it's just going to handle a little bit different, okay? All the reel seats are different and custom built per rod, so they're all, you know, very comfortable. There's, you know, metal locked down to, you know, metal, so your finger is always, you know, traditional Megabass, you're always on metal there. Coloration is really beautiful. So let's run through a couple models. This right here is the F771XT, the Swamp Survivor. This rod is built for braid, heavy cover. So this is going to be a frog slash pitch slash, you know, light duty punching rod. It's a super sick rod. The lure rating on it is 1/2 to 3 ounce. You could even throw a small glide if you wanted to, but you have double foot guides all the way up. Incredible power, sensitive. So that's number one that you guys should consider. That is kind of a gap filler. This is the Bandersnatch. This is an F570XT. So 3/8 to 1 ounce. The Bandersnatch to me is kind of like a light Mad Bull. So I love the Mad Bull in P5, but the Mad Bull in P5 really wants to throw 1/2 to 1 ounce stuff. This rod can throw that 3/8 and 1/2 ounce square bill, that lighter crankbait, that little bit lighter reaction. It goes hand in hand for me with the Mad Bull, so that's a super sick one to think of. There is the Cliffhanger. So this is a bait finesse rod. It's an F1.5 6.5 XT, so 1/8 to 3/8. So it's a little bit softer on the top end than the Cliffhanger Thrilling in P5, so it's more of a hard bait style rod. So a super sick new bait finesse rod. The Jade Python in the spinning, and there's a first look at the spinning. So they've gone with more of a traditional cork, but it's shortened, right? So your hand is still very comfortable, and your hand's still gonna end on that rod, depending on how you hold it, which is great. I love my fingers to be on that rod tip, so it's super comfortable grip. Jade Python's kind of like a little light Windbuster from a soft bait. Doesn't have the versatility of Windbuster for hard bait fishing, but for free rigs and shaky heads and, you know, kind of more power spin stuff, the Jade Python's a super sick little rod. So there's that one. The Anaconda has been getting a ton of questions. This is the true swim bait rod of the lineup. It's an F9 710. So it's 1 to 7 ounce rod. It's a soft bait rod, okay, which they have desperately needed. So you have like the TS Destroyer Blackjack that is that amazing kind of, you know, 2 to 6 ounce hard bait rod. Now you have a true soft bait rod. It's pretty fast, it's pretty powerful, but it's still lightweight. So you could put a 200 size reel on there. You could put a 300 size reel on there. It balances both of them. So this is going to be a sick one for, you know, 8-inch mag, 10-inch mag, 7-inch citizen, battle shads, HUDs, that kind of stuff. Anaconda will be dope.
It's dope.
Yeah. All right, couple more. The Medusa is a F3 ST 611, so it's an 1/8 to 1/2 ounce. It's a stinger tip rod, so that top part of the rod is going to be carbon. This is a rod that was kind of built for strolling, for lighter drop shot. Anytime you just need to manipulate just the tip without, you know, having the rest of the rod be super bendy, you know, a stinger tip can be a good option. So that's the Medusa. There is the Destruction 66. So this one took a lot of our staff by surprise. It's an F6.5 6.6 XT, 1/2 to 2.5 ounces. It's an amazing short frog rod. That's what surprised everybody. So Ethan used it first throwing a spinnerbait, and it's a pretty sick spinnerbait rod too. But it's got lots of power. Again, it's got double foot guides all the way up, so it can handle braid, it can handle heavy cover. So if you guys like a little 6.5 foot rod for power fishing, it's a sick rod for that. So that would be a rod that Griff's going to run off with. And then the Bush Outer is kind of a no-brainer for me. It's an F772, 1/2 to 2.5 ounces. Basically, it's kind of like a perfect pitch elevated for me. So it's a good, like, heavier cover spinnerbait, 6-inch mag, 6-inch citizen, you know, buzz bait on braid. Like, heavy stuff that I just need to upsize my line, upsize my bait in a really, really fun rod to fish. And it's short, 7.2, so it's easy to manage. You still have that kind of nice soft tip that you're used to in a perfect pitch, and then lots of power. So I think you guys are gonna love this lineup. And again, at $3.99, it delivers so much performance that a lot of rods in that category aren't delivering. So I think you're absolutely going to love it. So if you guys have questions, of course, I'm here for you. But again, this week we'll do a full breakdown of the line. But if anything speaks to you, again, you're going to want to scoop them up, because once they're sold out, they're going to be out for a while. Enjoy, guys. The Orochi X10 from Megabass, available now. Finally, CJ, we have the official release from OSP of the OSP Karen. If you guys aren't new to fishing, OSP started advertising Karen maybe like 2 years ago. Okay, so this has been a project they've been working on for years. They technically were starting to bring it to market last year around ICAST. They brought it to market in Japan. There was a production issue with where the soft bait attaches, so we never brought it to market, and thank God we did, and they recalled everything in Japan. So if you guys were one of those people that just couldn't wait for it to come to the US and got one, you've never experienced what it's actually supposed to do yet. This is the full, completed, correct version of the Karen. Here it is, the Karen 180 from OSP. So if you guys pre-ordered, thank you guys for your patience. Everything shipped last week, so most of you have probably already received them. You're gonna love it. If you guys didn't, and this is new to you, we're basically going to restart the hype all over again with the Karen. I'm going to break this down for you guys, and we're going to talk about this. So this is a bait. You know, Toshi designs all of the OSP baits to be baits that kind of fill in gaps, right? And there's been a much needed gap in his style of fishing, a lot of the OSP Pro staff style fishing, which is what the Karen was designed to do. So when you open the package of Karen, this is how it's going to come. It's going to come with a bait, of course, right? And then you're going to get a secondary piece that's going to have a spare tail. It has a smaller treble hook. It has a tool, and then it has like a plastic toothpick, okay? Now, the bait is going to come unattached, okay? So it's gonna come like this, okay, out of the package where it's got this hinge. Now, it has this kind of rope. You can see this back little split ring back here. It's attached via rope to that lower piece, okay? The tool is designed so that if this back piece tears, you can utilize that tool to thread the new tail on. Right. Super easy. It takes literally like 15 seconds, okay? But that way you can replace these tails and not have to worry about it. So if the tail's good with what you have and you're good to go, it fits right over those other little rings. The little plastic piece goes down and it just locks it into place. Boom, you can feel it click into place right there, and now it's attached. So what you have is you have a hybrid half hard, half soft. I think I said halved. Halved. Yeah, those few sips of Orion. Half hard, half soft, kind of hybrid swim bait. So this is a, you know, I remember it takes me back to like the Castaic days, right?
Where you had to it. I was literally just thinking that.
It's first when I saw it at first, I'm like, oh my god, it's like a Castaic, but it's built with intention and purpose. So the main idea of the Karen is for the Karen to be a skipping bait. Okay, so if you guys fish anywhere where you need to skip underneath docks, skip underneath trees, or wherever, or just love to skip, right? So you know that a soft bait generally skips really, really easy. But if you try to skip a hard bait up underneath stuff, a lot of times it's much harder to skip a hard bait because it just kind of snags or grabs. But one of the challenges to skipping a soft bait is a lot of times you skip a soft bait underneath there and the bait falls down on the hook, or it wraps weird, so you get the perfect skip, but then you can tell like, oh shit, it's not swimming right, and you know, it's like dropped down on the hook, and you wasted that perfect cast. The idea of this was to incorporate both the hard and the soft elements so that it skips with ease. I mean, it's an effortless bait to skip the way he's designed it, but it won't snag, so once it's in there, it's ready to go, and you're going to have fishability virtually 100% of the time. Now, this rear ring back here can be used to attach the spare hook. So if you want two hooks on there, you can have a second hook. So if you're getting short strikers or whatever, you can attach that second hook. It does have an integrated lip on there. That integrated lip is basically designed for it to be a crank down. Now, you can walk this bait. It does dead walk. It was kind of funny when we saw this bait a year or so ago. CJ, you, myself, and Jeff were all at OSP, and we were talking to Toshi. We're like, Toshi, how does it walk? He goes, oh, I never walk a bait. It doesn't walk. I'm like, well, why wouldn't you want it to walk? He goes, no, nobody does that. And Jeff goes, doesn't walk? He goes, no, it doesn't walk. Jeff takes it, throws it in the pool, walks it beautifully. Toshi's like, oh, you're good. Like, oh, it walks great. Yeah, he's like, oh, yeah. So if you guys are into walking the bait, you can certainly do it. But what the bait's designed to do is the bait's designed to put up into whatever cover you want to do and crank it. And it can burn. It can fish very slow. You can leave it float. So out of the package, it's going to be a floater. Okay. And what they do in Japan a lot is they'll skip it up underneath the dock or in cover, and they literally will just leave it there. And you can see by just me holding it here, you can see how much that tail is moving. So they'll do that a lot. They'll just kind of dead stick it, and that tail is just kind of quivering while the bait is sitting there. And a lot of times that's all they're looking to do is put the bait in the right spot and leave it. And just let that tail kind of, you know, move and shift and draw strikes. You can jerk it, and on the jerk it's going to be very erratic, and it's built to where this hook is not going to snag in the plastic or around the lip, so you can give it hard jerks. You can just swim it, and it swims beautifully as it moves, and that joint just really has a nice kind of swim. You can also burn it. I mean, you can speed burn this thing. I've watched Toshi fish this thing at 100 miles an hour, fast twitches, moving, going crazy, and the fish just react to the sheer speed of something coming out of a place they're not usually used to seeing a bait like this in. Okay, so here you go. There is the Karen. Let me spec it out for you guys so you know what you have. So it's 180 millimeters, 50 grams. Okay, so you're about 1.5 ounces roughly. So it's a pretty lightweight bait for its size. It's got a true dive depth of 1.5 meters. So if you're gonna crank it down on lighter line, like you're gonna throw 14 or 16, it's gonna get down about 3 or 4 feet. 20 pound is what most guys fish it on back there. And that'll give you plenty of oomph when you need it, okay? So a handful of colors. So you have this beautiful Ghost IU color, which is my favorite. Sweet. It's a dirty color. It could be a shad. It's got that green pearl gizzard shad, right? Super sick. So that's color number 1. You have Rokamuro Secret, which is a super sick one. I'm gonna take this one out because this one's kind of a hard one to see, but this one is designed, it's basically a 10-pounder Secret.
Yeah, that's right.
Is the name of the bait, but it's a beautiful green pumpkin color.
This is a sneaky one that a lot of guys are gonna end up loving.
Yes. You can see it's kind of like a darker green pumpkin. It's got a little bit of a shift to it. Just a nice bluegill, nice dark color. So there's that guy. There is a black.
Gotta have that.
There's a blue trout, is what they're calling it. Not sure why they went with trout instead of blue shad, but
color.
There you go. There's a sharp white, and so this color is money.
Yep.
I mean, this is the one, every time I've been with Toshi, this is the color he's been tossing. They eat it everywhere. There's a pink.
Japanese love pink.
And then there's a linebacker. Okay. So there you go. There are the colors available now from OSP. That is the Karen 180. Finally.
It's here.
Finally available.
Well, midway, cheers.
All right. Cheers. Yeah. And to all you guys who did do Karen pre-orders, cheers to you guys for the patience. It was worth the wait. I'm glad we released it correct. There's nothing worse than bringing something to market and it's not right. So thank you guys for your patience. Enjoy it. You're gonna catch so many fish on the Karen. We've been utilizing it kind of like a skinny dipper.
Yep.
So you can just burn it and fish really, really fast. Twitch it, twitch it, twitch it. I mean, all kinds of cool things you can do with it. So cheers.
Karen.
What a silly name for a bait.
Karen.
Karen. So funny.
I love it.
Yeah.
Good old Toshi.
Yeah. Well, it's funny, you know, Americans, we think there has to be a meaning for everything. And most of the time, everything is meaningful. Karen is just the case where they're like, oh, it sounded cool.
Yeah.
They had no idea that Karen's like something that we make fun of.
It could be like hybrid softy, blah, 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 but Karen.
Right. They're like, let's just call it Karen. That sounds good. Yeah.
You're skipping at Karen's dock.
Right.
There you go.
Yeah. Skipping under a dock and Karen's going to come yell at you. That's what it should have been. Yeah. All right, Tiny Blitz DR, a favorite bait for a lot of you guys. It's kind of a, I'm gonna call it a finesse, not really a true bait finesse, but it's a lighter crankbait, 6.7 grams, so quarter ounce, 45 millimeters, but you fish this thing on 10 pound, it still has the capability of getting down 12 to 15 foot, so you got this tiny little crankbait that gets down deep. We got some new colors this week in this guy. So there's Pink Lady, there's Chrome Shad, you're seeing some of the colors come through like Matte Funa. There's a full matte Shart. Tell me the smallmouth's not gonna fucking go
candy.
Crazy over that dude. Ghost Lime Shart. Right, there's Moebi, Tanaga is in it. So you've got a bunch of different color shifts in one of the coolest little small finesse, deep diving crankbaits on the market. So Tiny Blitz DRs, a bunch of new colors this week from OSP. While we are on OSP, big restock week across the board on soft plastic. So I know a lot of you guys have been looking for the Dolive Beaver. 3 5s, 3s, 4, pretty much all the key colors are back. There's also some new colors in there, some new red colors. All the key 4 inches are back. The Magnums are back as well. But the biggest news in Beaver is Fred returns. Okay, so I know a lot of you guys have been waiting for Fred to come back. This is our custom color that we do with OSP. It's green pumpkin with purple and copper flake. Okay, we just nicknamed it Fred because no reason.
Another name.
The same reason they named the Karen the Karen. It sounded kind of funny. If you're looking for, I mean, this is just a color that they needed in the bait. This isn't a color that we created. It's just a color that we use all the time that needed to happen in a Dolive Beaver. This is our #1 selling Dolive Beaver color, green pumpkin, purple copper flake. This is the only time this year that OSP is going to be able to run it. They have a huge production year. There's lots of cool things coming down the pipe. So if this is a color that speaks to you, you're going to want to grab them while we have inventory. When they're gone, they're going to be gone until next spring. Spring 2025. I can't believe I'm saying 2025 already. But so scoop them up, 4-inch and 3.5-inch in Fred. Those are available now. There's also a huge restock this week in MMZs. So I know a lot of you guys are a fan of this guy. This is that earthworm nightcrawler bait that's got the built-in coils and curls to it. A really fun bait. It comes in 3 sizes. So there's a Nami, there's a Chibi, and there's a Deca. So depending on, you know, how big of a worm you need. This is the Deca, but you can see it kind of comes pre-bent with these grooves and these curls. And it's basically a nightcrawler. So when you pull it, it lengthens out, and then when you pause, it coils back like a nightcrawler actually swimming across the water. So you can drop shot it, you can throw it weightless, you can do all kinds of different things with it, but all the colors and sizes are back in the MMZ. All right, and finally with OSP, the OSP logo mesh cap. This is our #1 selling hat from OSP. 3 new colors in there. Let's just open them up. So this is, OSP hats are dope because my big head actually fits in them. Okay, so if you have the same problem that I have where you're kind of a big-headed guy, they actually fit. Okay, so there's a red with kind of this cool like black camo. You can see like easy. Right? So there's that guy. There's a black and green.
That's dope. That's pretty clean.
Pretty clean. Yeah. And then there's a blue with that same kind of cool blackish camo hit on there. So 3 new colors. OSP logo hats available now. All right, ready for the controversy part of this episode?
Dude, I'm excited for this one, actually.
I talk about A-rigs, everybody is so split down the middle, right? So if you guys hate A-rigs, I don't need to hear about it. Okay, but if you love A-rigs like me, let's talk about a dope one. Okay, this is the new release from Stealth Lures. Okay, this is the Stealth Lures A-rig, built here in the USA, kind of a new A-rig concept that's trying to basically eliminate wires.
Yeah, it's cool.
And go to a clear-based system. Now, this is built in Tennessee. A lot of you guys in Tennessee know about this. He's been working on this for a while, and you guys have been using it, and you know that it's incredibly durable. It's built out of a super, super strong kind of special material, right? A proprietary material. But it's completely clear. So gone are the wires. It also gives you a really nice flex. So, you know, so often with A-rig fishing, we're, you know, twitching it or we're doing something and we need those arms to move. And this gives you the ability to get that extra flex in there. You can see it's built with 4 arms coming out of the head and then 1 long wire there. So you're going to want to put your key bait on the back, and you're going to want to put your, either your dummy baits on the front. You could add extra blades, or if you guys happen to live in an area where you can use 5 hooks, you can certainly do that as well. But I'd recommend keeping the front 4 on the lighter side, and then if you need to add some weight, I would add it to the back. That way your ability to just kind of twitch it and get the bait to really kind of move is at its peak on the front. So super durable. You guys can throw a heavy line on it. You can throw it in heavy cover. You can catch huge giant fish, but a really cool new concept from Stealth Lures. So there you go. It'll be a fun one to play with for you guys. It's been a really fun one to prototype and to see how it has actually been coming together, and everybody here has been loving it. So there you go. What do you think, CJ?
I like that he made it compact. I think compact A-rigs are kind of taking over the game right now with scope. So I'm happy he didn't make it this giant chandelier like some people do.
Yeah, so I mean there's different thoughts to, there's 9 million different possibilities, right?
Yeah.
What's nice about this one, it does have the built-in swiveled head, so even if it lands the wrong way, it's super easy to right. But you're right, you don't necessarily need, a ton of hooks and stuff. A lot of times you have a target on live scope, there's one fish, one tree, you just need one bait, right? So that everything's kind of compact in there. Or, I spend a lot of time fishing from shore. Yeah. So throwing a smaller rig like this is much more conducive to how I like to fish. I also, love throwing A-rigs around ridiculously heavy cover, right? You guys make fun of me all the time.
It works.
So, I love throwing like a, something that's compact with just 1 or 2 hooks right into the shit where people are usually flipping. This makes a really good option for that.
Yep.
So
A-rig for everybody.
Yep. So I think you guys are going to really dig it. There you go. That is the Stealth Lures Stealth Rig, available right now.
It's dope.
Some pretty big swim bait weeks, kind of back to back to back with Working Class Zero Citizen drops, right? We have Karen today. So a company that we absolutely love here. We've been, selling 316 lure for, 2 decades, right? It's a product that we try to keep in rotation, but everything's still handmade in Texas, right? So sometimes we run out of stock. A huge restock week, and it's been the first restock we've had in some time. So I'm just going to touch base really quick. Not necessarily anything super new. There's a handful of new colors that you guys might want to check out, but I just want to remind you guys about the 316 Rising Sun and let you know that all the key colors and a couple of new ones are back. So there's always, this time of the year, the bluegills, the sunfish, the hitches, the whites, they always evaporate out of here, right? So there are 2 different sizes. Well, there's 3 different sizes, but 2 different sizes that are back. So there's the traditional Rising Sun, which is going to be that really dope, kind of 6.5-inch size, and then there's the 5-inch. Now these are line through baits. Okay, so the line's going to go through the face, out the bottom. You're going to tie a treble hook on, and then they break away super easy. So out of the package, they're designed to fish pretty high in the column, almost going to create like a little bit of a V wake on the surface. A simple nail weight or a little bit of weight on the belly will let you kind of have a little bit deeper movement, but day in, day out, a line through is going to want to be a little bit higher in the column, but it's just a really easy bait to throw. 316 also, for well over a decade, has made a top hook version as well of this. So I know a lot of guys that are new to fishing are kind of geeking over some of the new top hook baits, and everybody's trying to take claim for, oh, well, I created this. But dude, 316's been doing this shit for, 20 years probably on the top hook. So the top hook version basically is the same as the line through version, except you have the option now. You still have the line through that goes through the bottom of the bait, and you can just tie your treble hook down there. But there is also a second tube at the bottom to where if you want it to be on top, you just come out the bottom and then back up through the top of the bait. Line comes out the top, you tie your treble hook here, and then you have it rigged up here on top. The advantage of having it on the top is that you can fish this thing through wood, through trees. You can crawl it over a limb. It's going to roll up and around the limb and come right through everything without snagging really bad. If you're fishing it high in the column and you're not worried about snags, then I would just stay traditional line through, and that way when the fish come up, that hook is in the right spot. So you have the ability to go either direction with that top hook, which is kind of nice. So those are all back this week from 316. All right, let's jump over to Lobina Lures really quick. We don't talk about Lobina very often. This is a brand that is kind of based here in the U.S. All the baits are based here in Arizona. All the baits are made in Japan. This is, if you are born in Arizona, you are born throwing a Rico.
Yep.
That's just how it is, right? So
yeah.
Rico comes in two sizes. There's a Rico and a Rio Rico. This is an Arizona staple. And what's funny is when I was a kid, the Ricos were $25. Now that I'm an adult, the Ricos are still $25. Like, it's kind of just been the $20 popper forever. And I remember when I was a kid, I remember the first time my dad spent $20 on a Rico. It's like, this doesn't even make any sense. A fishing lure for $20? Like, it was just so crazy to think about back then. But they have just stayed and maintained the staple of the popper world. I would say the Rico is the popper that everybody kind of bases their popper off of,
it's
right?
the popper.
Yeah, it's kind of the popper. So what makes it the popper? It just gets bit. I mean, there's not really, it's not like any popper is fancier than another. It's just a freaking popper. But each one is tank tested and tuned in Japan to create a deeper, like that really deep bass sound, right? And that's what drives them crazy. Both Ricos and Rio Ricos see a ton of new colors. So all the standard colors are back, but a ton of new colors, from frogs to perches, to some new sexy shads, to some blacks, to some baby ducks, to some pinks, right? To some other baby ducks, to some dragonflies. So there's all kinds of possibilities in there. So if you guys are popper fans, you should definitely check those out from Lobina.
That black baby duck is sick.
You like the black baby duck?
Yeah, I like the black one. That one's sweet.
Or the little white baby duck?
I mean, that one's dope too, but the contrast to that is awesome.
Yeah, I think that one's dope. So this one's called Delta Bird, and this one's called Baby Duck. But yeah, basically both little birds. So,
yeah,
both cool. Okay, another bait from Lobina. This is the Rico Suave. So they're just calling it the Suave now, okay? This color here is actually called Risque. The current owners of Lobina probably don't know this, but Risque is actually a color that I created for Lobina. Back when our shop first opened, it was a shop custom color that turned into a standard color. So the Suave is a walking topwater bait. This bait used to be made out of solid wood when Rico first created it, and it was an amazing one that moved great, fish ate it, but you could hardly cast it. It threw like dog shit, right? So the new version is an ABS plastic. It has rattles inside. This is a bait that kind of comes in and out of the Lobina lineup. So it's interesting to see it back again. So, you know, many of you have purchased these from us over the last 20 years, and they kind of go away and they come back and they go away. Well, here, they're back. It's a really cool bait. It has a really interesting, kind of very simple, gliding, flat motion to it. So a bunch of colors from Risque to, you know, there's some blacks, there's some clear IUs, there's of course bones and, you know, clears and so on and so forth. So if you're fans of, you know, made in Japan walking baits that'll just give you something a little bit different than what a gunfish or Sammy will do, a little bit flatter, more spooky type motion, Suave could be a dope one for you. So those are available now. All right, so while we are on, you know, restocks, I've been getting blown up on jackhammers. I know our jackhammer selection has been absolutely pummeled. I blame Griff. Let's just blame him because he's not here to defend himself.
Yeah.
So if you guys have been waiting on jackhammers, pretty much everything is back, okay? All the key colors, sizes, all the hard to find colors. The Minimax Chatterbait from Z-Man is also back across the board. So if there's anything you guys have been missing, they're all back in stock. I'm just letting you know that Griff finally did his job. Speaking of Griff, Griff's a huge Baitsanity fan. Oh, he's coming, so let's talk nice now. So some restocks across the board in Explorer gills. There's been a lot we've been out of. So of course, like your traditional bluegill colors, but also some of those dope new UV colors come back. So there's that crazy goldfish that I made fun of the first time we brought it out, and then it sold out right away. You guys are catching shit out of them. There's that UV perch. So the UV, when I say UV, if you take a UV light to it, it shifts the color. So it's kind of interesting. It's kind of a neat thing. It looks different at night. It looks different under a UV light than it does during the day. So kind of cool. As it gets down below the water, different UV rays hitting it will kind of tweak that color a little bit. It's kind of cool. So Explorer gills are back from them. And then we also see a restock on the swim bait wraps and specifically the 3-pack. So So their swim bait wraps are some of our best sellers. They're single piece that you can wrap the baits in. The 3-pack comes with 3 of them, so you can,
nice.
I mean, you could store multiples in there too, but most guys just put 1 bait per wrap or 2 baits per wrap. They're just easy to carry. So those are back from Baitsanity. All right, let's jump over to Daiwa for a minute. Now, this isn't what you're expecting. Okay, we're not gonna talk about reels. We're actually gonna talk about a lot of trout stuff. But before we get to trout, let's talk about maybe the most asked about rod that nobody has ever touched or experienced ever. The Steez Reel Control. I'm just gonna call this Koya's secret weapon.
I think it's sexy.
Okay, so if you guys follow Bassmaster Elite, then you guys know Koya Fujita. Arguably, maybe the best fisherman to ever come out of Japan is what a lot of guys hail him as. Arguably, probably the best live scope fisherman on the planet. He developed this rod with Daiwa. This is a super elevated Steez. Okay, it is the highest end Steez made in Japan by hand. It's a higher modulus graphite. It's a Compile X Nano Plus, so they're able to take that higher end graphite, that carbon, use less resin, but keep it incredibly strong. It's using all the AGS guides, but even the wrapping on the rod is done with carbon fiber. So it's not like normal thread wrapping, it's carbon fiber wrapping on there, right? The handle is a custom built, custom grip zero seat. So it's a very small, very lightweight seat. And by the way, I don't want you guys to panic. All these rods come ferruled. Even though this is a 6.5 medium light, okay, they all come ferruled. Don't panic. You literally attach it like this, twist it. We've talked about ferrules 9 million times. You're never gonna know it's on there. But this is the rod that he strolls with pretty much 100% of the time. I know, trying to find the perfect strolling rod is a challenge. It's 1,100 bucks.
Only.
Okay, so Daiwa released some of these at the Classic for 1,300. I didn't want to do that to you. I want to give you a deal.
There you
so
go. You're a good
for
guy.
only 1,100, you could have this. Now, I was going to save these all for today, but I knew X10 was coming and you were going to be super busy, so I dropped this like a little light drop on Instagram last week. Literally, I just posted something on my story, and they almost all evaporated out. So there's still a couple left. If this speaks to you, you might want to grab it. I have a little bit of a flow coming, but these are so expensive and so challenging to make, and the single most popular Daiwa rod in Japan, that there's not many that we're going to be able to trickle over. So if you ever see them and you want it, get it, scoop it up. So there you go. If you want the ultimate strolling. By the way, you're going to need like a 2,000 or a 2,500 exist on this thing. Okay, do not put a 3,000 exist on it, it's too big. 2,500 exist fits it perfect, 2,000 fits it perfect. Yep. Do not put anything other than exist on this, because it's just gonna be too heavy. The rod, just so you know, 2 ounces, that's what it weighs.
Feels like you're
which is
nothing.
Crazy. It's like half the weight of a normal, really lightweight rod. Okay, so there you go. Steez Reel Control, while supplies last, those are available.
That's ridiculous.
So happy. All right. Let's jump to some Daiwa trout. So Daiwa is really big in trout in Japan. So they are trying to bring more of that over to the US. And some of it is going to be labeled as, kind of trout. I'm maybe pigeonholing a little bit, but it's really more bait finesse. Okay, so a lot of the baits are going to be geared towards trout. You're going to see different patterns, but you bait finesse guys might really dig it. Okay, so let's start here. The Dr. Minnow 2 jointed minnow. Okay, so he's going to be available in a handful of colors. 50 millimeters, 3.1 grams. It's basically just a jointed jerkbait. Okay, so you can fish it like a crankbait. If you want to, these are all sinking, by the way. You could fish it like a jerkbait, but relatively inexpensive. Little single jointed minnow. So those are available now. You can see all kind of trout patterns, different Yamame patterns in there. So pretty simple. There's also the new TD Minnow 75. Okay, so we're downsizing our TD Minnow now. This is a 75 millimeter, 4.4 grams. This is spinning rod territory or bait finesse territory, right? All the colors stay, and there's some new colors. There's some new kind of trout Yamame type patterns in here as well, but the bones and the wakasagis, all that stays in there as well. So new smaller size of TD Minnow. Those are also available now. And then finally, new this week from Daiwa, they are bringing their Presso wallets. Okay, so wallet type storage, super popular in Japan, mainly with like spoon and spinner guys. So, you know, in Japan, if you're area trout fishing, you're fishing more like ponds, you usually have a wall that's just full of different spoons. But I've really been kind of digging this style for these smaller baits, because what you get is you get a foam piece on the inside separated by a hard plastic piece. Okay, and that hard plastic piece is going to cover the hooks. Then there's another foam insert front and back, and another hard plastic piece,
nice.
and then another foam piece. So you could literally put baits here, they're protected with that, baits here, protected with that, baits here, protected with that. Like, you could fill this up with quite a few different baits in there. And then you have just this little wallet that either slips in a backpack, in a fanny pack. I have some that I'll put like a little D-ring here, so I can just put it on my belt, and then I just unattach it, and I just use that zip. So they are a handy storage option if it's something that speaks to you, okay? So there you go. Presto wallets from Daiwa. Those are available now. All right, CJ, and let's wrap today's episode with a couple of deals.
Ooh,
Okay?
I love that.
So I love deals.
Yes, sir.
Let's start right here. It is time.
Physyx.
St. Croix Physyx. So this is the brand new rod from St. Croix. We are going to run a Physyx promotion through the month of May. Buy any Physyx, get a $100 gift card to our shop instantly.
Ooh,
Okay,
$100.
so super easy. It's a $3.99 rod. You're gonna get $100 back. So basically 25% is gonna go back in a gift card. You use it towards a reel or baits or line or just whatever you want to do. Okay, so there are also new models of Physyx that are trickling in. So I have in my hands the chatterbait rod. This is 7.4 medium heavy. It's the glass carbon composite that you know, has been in the Legend glass lineup. So now it is in the Physyx lineup as well. Super popular with St. Croix. There's some spinning models that are starting to hit that haven't been here before. So the 710 lineup is coming. Yeah.
Wow.
So, you know, little hair jig rod. The 7-foot medium is in. So those are also in. I've been fairly critical on Physyx. Not a huge fan of the grips, but you know, I'm also willing to admit that I might not know everything. So some of you guys may absolutely love the grips. Casting, yeah, it's okay. But you know, I think a lot of you guys may enjoy it. If you're a St. Croix fan, you're gonna love the taper and the action of the blanks. So just a fun little promotion to do through the end of spring. So buy any Physyx, $100 gift card, all yours. Available
Get
now.
some extra baits.
Boom.
Boom.
You get those baits. And then finally, I'm sweating now. It's hot. It's in the 90s, and I'm tired of looking at jackets next to my desk.
Yep.
Okay, so let's do a little jacket promo. Okay, I know a lot of you guys are still pretty cold and are gonna be cold for a while, but just a fun, you know. Here, if you need a jacket, let me help you. Okay, so while supplies last or until I'm bored with the promotion, we're gonna do 50% off of all Sims jackets. Okay,
50.
so that's gonna include a lot of different things. That could be anything from a shacket.
They're dope.
Okay,
Shackets
and
are
most of
dope.
these will have our logo on them somewhere, which is dope. So it could be a shacket, it could be a hybrid hoodie, it could be the Santee flannel, which I literally wear every single day. I love this. CX hoodies, Vermilion hoodies, cold weather hoodies. So if it's a hoodie, if it's a jacket, if it's a sweatshirt, if it's something to keep you warm, okay, God bless you guys for still living in a place that you need it. So I'm gonna give you 50% off to hopefully make your suck a little bit less. I'm in shorts and you're in shorts,
Yeah,
and we're all in shorts for now the next 9 months. So please take some jackets away from us. We don't need to see them for a while. So 50% off Sims while supplies last. All right, and that is a wrap. Cheers. Cheers, CJ.
Cheers, sir.
Thanks for being here. Do you have a favorite thing that we discussed today?
Dude, that koi rod's pretty insane.
A unique one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, that is a crazy, crazy rod.
Yeah.
I mean, we've seen a lot of different rods come to the shop, and that one stands out. That's insane.
Yeah, I saw a lot of cool things. I'm really excited that the Karen is here finally. I think guys are going to have a lot of fun with that bait. I think OSP missed out a little bit on the hype because they had it so hyped a couple years ago. I mean, they were catching so many giants, and then it just not releasing it when it was supposed to release sucked.
Yeah, but
right?
it says a lot about their brand that it wasn't perfect, and they wanted it to be perfect, so they
For
pulled it
sure.
back instead of releasing half-assed product.
Absolutely. So I'm excited for those to come. I'm excited for guys to use them, especially this time of the year. But like I'm thinking about all like our Tennessee River stuff that we did last spring. Like we saw so many fish caught on the Karen.
Oh yeah, it was
right?
ridiculous.
So you guys are gonna love that. Of course, the Respect Series drop is super sick as well this month. I don't usually get that excited about chartreuse and blue, but this is a cool one. So I think you guys are gonna have fun with it. So guys, if you have any questions, whether it's bait related, rod related, I know there's probably going to be a gazillion questions about the X10s. So hit me, drop me a question down below, get an answer for you. I usually hang out on YouTube for an hour or so after we drop these to make sure I can answer questions. If it's much later in the day that you guys are seeing this, shoot me a DM on Instagram. Okay, because I basically live there and I will talk rods all day long. So if I can help on any of that stuff, let me know. But of course, any questions, drop it down below. CJ will put links to everything.
Yep.
And guys, on behalf of myself and CJ and Griff and everybody here at the Hookup Tackle, guys, thank you for putting up with our nonsense and for continuing to give us your time on Sunday mornings. Cheers to you. Thank you guys for the business. It means the world to us. Thank you for all the fun that you include us in. Please continue to tag us on any success that you're having, because I love seeing it actually work on the water. It's fun. So enjoy your weekend, guys. Hug your family. Go catch a big fish. If you could find delicious Orion, pick it up. Apparently El Paso is where I have to go now to get my Orion fix. So cheers, my friends. Have a wonderful week, and I will see you guys again next Sunday. Cheers. Peace.
See you guys.